Perfect. Thank you. I welcome you all to this great evening, a special evening for the book signing event, as well as an amazing fireside chat to celebrate a book, not just a book, but the ideas, experiences behind it. Well, we all know which book we are talking about, right? The book is, of course, by Nitin Seth, our very own Nitin, who is the co-founder and CEO of Incedo Inc., a global technology services firm and a leading voice on digital data and AI. Over a 3-decade career, he has held leadership roles at McKinsey, Fidelity International, Flipkart, and a lot of other companies driving transformative initiatives worldwide. A best-selling author, his transformation trifecta trilogy, Winning in the Digital Age, Mastering the Data Paradox, and the recently published Human Edge in the AI Age, have all achieved national bestseller status. An IIT Delhi engineer and IIM Lucknow gold medalist, Nitin lives in New Jersey with his wife, 3 children, and their dog. May we have a round of applause for Nitin, please? Thank you. And leading this conversation is Vandana Vasudevan. She is a PGT from IIM Ahmedabad and has a PhD in urban studies from the University of Grenoble, France. She is an author of 3 non-fiction books and has been a columnist and contributed to national dailies. Her latest book, OTP Please, published by Penguin Random House, was released recently and was an Amazon bestseller soon after its release. She lives in Hyderabad and is a development sector professional. Can we have a round of applause? And may I request Vandana to kick it off from here, please.
I don't know, did you know I was in Hyderabad?
Penguin helped.
Penguin helped. Okay, so we are both Penguin authors. And I think my book was published about a month before his. So I think in the same circuit and same, the book is going through this similar life cycles. Okay, so I'm a policy sector professional. So I've done a lot of work. I do a lot of work with national and international organizations. So I have a tendency to think policy in any context. So when I was reading your book, Nitin, you are exhorting youngsters to become entrepreneurs, right? So 2 questions struck me. One is, are we glorifying entrepreneurship a lot? Because you have been an entrepreneur and previously you have worked in McKinsey and Flipkart and all as a professional. Do you think you contribute any lesser as a professional in a company? And because entrepreneurship may not be good for everyone because it requires so many skills and so much of risk appetite and energy and all that. So why are you exhorting youngsters to be entrepreneurs particularly?
Yeah. So you're coming straight to the crux of my message, which is around entrepreneurship. And see, first, there is, to my mind at least, there is no difference between being a professional and an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, I think you certainly need to be professional.
Yeah.
I think it's very difficult to succeed as an entrepreneur if you're not professional, you're unprofessional. But I get the point you're trying to drive to, which is like
I'm saying a salaried professional versus a business person. Yeah.
So my argument is very simple, Vandana, that AI is going to lead to a massive destruction jobs as we know them. Clearly, the sound system did not like what I said. So while the impact may not be very visible over the next couple of years, but if you take a 15-year horizon, the research is pretty consistent. That the research shows that we may have 35 to 50% net job loss. Okay, 90 to 100% of all existing jobs will be impacted in some fashion. Yeah. So nature of work is going to change dramatically, but from that, there is a 35 to 50% net reduction. I think that's a huge impact for humanity, for society, any possible dimension that you can think about. This is a humongous loss. Yeah. And if we don't do anything about it, it is going to lead to unprecedented chaos. We can talk about universal basic income and all of that, which I think will still need to come in some fashion. But if we don't do anything about that net job loss, it is going to be a disaster. Now, at the same time, while AI has this negative impact from a social and human perspective, there is also a tremendous opportunity, Vandana, that every industry out there, and not just the usual suspects like retail or entertainment, but even very traditional industries like manufacturing or healthcare, education, agriculture, every industry is going to get disrupted with AI. AI is unleashing these four forces: personalization, automation, innovation, and new business models. With that, every industry is going to get disrupted. That is going to create thousands or perhaps hundreds of thousands of new problem statements in every industry. And that is an opportunity for entrepreneurship, because this change, Vandana, is very disruptive. When the change is incremental, incumbents tend to win. When the change is very disruptive, an outsider wins. That's the entrepreneurial opportunity. So that is really, if we are talking about a couple of billion jobs that may go globally over the next 15 years. Now, the only chance, really the only chance of of bridging that gap is entrepreneurship. And you're right, that today, that's not the mindsets, that's not the skill sets that majority have. The majority, their mindset is and the entire purpose of education is to do a job. But if we expand our perspective a little bit, this phenomenon of jobs is a phenomenon of the last couple of 100 years, post the Industrial Revolution. Pre the Industrial Revolution, most humans were what you will call self-employed. This is the last couple of 100 years. Yeah, it's a big time, but if you look at an expanse of human history, or at least even recorded human history of 10,000 years, so it's nothing to say that, as human beings, we are fundamentally wired to do a job. So in entrepreneurship, to me, is about creation, and that creation means risk taking, and that can happen in a startup. But absolutely, entrepreneurship is not just about doing startups, which is, I think, one of the points you were making. I think when I was in McKinsey or Fidelity or Flipkart, I was an entrepreneur. I did my own thing. I created and I rebuilt, So, absolutely, I think entrepreneurship is very necessary. But entrepreneurship could be expressed as a startup, or it could be entrepreneurship in a corporate setting.
Something went wrong with the mic.
Can we check Vandana's mic, please?
Okay, but anyway, so from a policy perspective, we have all this ease of doing business. The government is trying to make things easier, but I see that it's not really hitting home. Oh, I know that MSME ministry, for example, does a whole lot of stuff, but somewhere there it's not hitting home. I find a lot of young people starting something, closing it down, starting something, closing down. Some are just fed up of the entire process and it takes to become an entrepreneur. There's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of paperwork, etc., etc. That's only one part of the issue. From a policy angle, what do you think we need to do to create a more friendly environment for people to become entrepreneurs? I agree that entrepreneurship is it's perhaps the way to go as AI cuts jobs, but how to make it easier?
Yeah, I think ease of doing business and creating the right environment is very important, but especially when we think about AI-driven business opportunities, Vandana, creating, making the infrastructure available easily and at a low cost, I think is going to be the most important thing. See, AI infrastructure is relatively easy to use. because you don't need to be a techie for that. Yeah, that's the power of AI. The language of AI is not, .NET or Java or even Python. It's English. So it is very easy to use. But the moment you begin to do kind of serious stuff, it can be very compute intensive. Yeah, it is very data intensive, and that cost can quickly go up. So I think that to me is the most important thing that the government needs to work on, and I've been making a case for this for almost a year now. That I think what we have done very well in India is the digital public infrastructure, yeah, DPI. And I think there is an opportunity of re-envisioning and scaling up the DPI as a enabling ecosystem for AI startups. And we need to make compute available at scale. We are blessed with data. Data is one of the fundamental inputs into AI. We are a very data-rich nation, but how do we make those data sets available? And these have to be, have to be sector-specific. On top of that, maybe there are a set of models, that we can again, make available as services to startups. So this layer, I think, is going to be the most important thing.
Like how to help young entrepreneurs use AI to scale up and do stuff.
Make the infrastructure available. So, when we say AI, see, there is an AI infrastructure, where there is a compute layer, there is a data layer, there is a model layer. And on top of it is the application. You build applications. My submission is that the entrepreneurial opportunity in India is the application layer.
Yeah.
Is the application layer. But for that, you need that infrastructure layer to be available. And I fear that will end up being a bottleneck. And I think that is where the government really needs to step in.
Right. Taking a little bit of a turn. So there's one in the anagram that you've made possible. One of them is spirituality, right? Which I read with a lot of interest. So some time ago, I saw a WhatsApp forward or something where a person says that, I think he must be about our age or a little younger, but he says that...
We are very young.
Yeah, we are very young, of course. Usse bhi kam, I think. So he says that the one thing that I wish they had taught me in school was yoga. He said, and I really think our generation really missed out on that. And if schools had compulsorily put yoga and meditation as something that is part of your childhood, we wouldn't be going to yoga classes now and trying to catch up like that. It'll be part of your life. What do you think about this? Where have we missed, and what is it that should be plugged to make the future generation spiritually aware and sort of rooted in in all our rich tradition?
I can only say it in Hindi that आपने मेरे दिल की बात बोल दी. So I strongly, very very strongly believe that. See, the AI age is the age of noise, Vandana. There is a lot of noise all around us. There are a lot of signals. A lot of data means a lot of signals, and it just kind of you lose your clarity. I'm on the I'm on my phone, and I have this dull feeling all around my head, and the only way I get clarity is that I sit in meditation. I do meditation for at least 20 minutes. At least twice a day. And that's my method. All of my colleagues know that if I'm going for an important client meeting, before the client meeting, I will do meditation. And I think I've been very fortunate that I learned meditation when I was maybe 13 or 14.
Yeah, that's a great time.
And I have been doing meditation consistently, I think for the last 40 years, for almost every day. So I think I've been very blessed. And I think it's a huge superpower. A lot of people ask me that, you seem to be having a lot of energy. You are doing multiple things. And what's your secret? And my secret is really meditation. Because, I do have a lot of energy. Often that energy is nervous energy. Often that energy is very difficult to kind of, channelize. And the only way, and for me, the method of doing that is meditation. Now, see, meditation, so, it is also what is spirituality? Spirituality is a very big word, and is often, people interpret it in different ways. For me, very simply, it's the process of going inside yourself. Now, that process of going inside yourself can be it's meditation for me. It could be yoga, it could be prayer, it could be chanting, it could be jogging, it could be gardening. It could be anything. But I think in this noisy world, I think it is very important, and I do wish that at least in our country, this is one of the things we can genuinely say that, yeah, we are world class at. We keep on saying that, we are not good at inventing things. We don't do R&D. We were the world champions in R&D and spirituality. So at least in our country, I think meditation or yoga should be
compulsory in
should
school.
be compulsory in our school system.
I also think that given all the disruption that AI is expected to cause, job losses and other things, it will lead to quite a bit of frustration in society. So how to handle that? I mean, these kind of meditation and all are sort of tools to cope with all the disruption that AI is eventually going to bring, right? That's also why you are advocating that. Okay. Yeah, I guess you have 3 kids, right? 2 daughters or?
Yes.
2 daughters. So you want a world where there's equal opportunity for your daughters as it is for your son, which, you live in America, it's sort of taken for granted. In upper class India, it's sort of, you don't think of it in any other way. But a vast majority of girls and women in India still don't have equal opportunity. Parents don't recognize their skills. They want to get them married off before they can prove themselves. All kinds of things, typically in the last majority of our society. So in all these, I didn't see that bit sort of being spoken about. So I thought I would ask you that in all your 8 mantras, how as an individual do you work towards fairness, as a person, and therefore your impact in society? Because all these young people who are going to get out of AI, etc., they're also going to get married, they're going to have daughters, they're going to guess how to be a better human being who bats for fairness.
Yeah, it's a deep question, Vandana.
Yeah, my book is deep, so deep hi hoga.
So, first, the AI. I think AI is a great force for democratization. I've written on these 3 intersecting trends: digital, data, and AI. And it's kind of like very difficult to unpack them. Yeah. And all of these trends are democratizing forces.
Okay.
So whether you are a young girl in Kakinada or in Navsari, Gujarat, or in Bhatinda, Punjab, I think that data, tools, access is there. The same as, my son has at UC Berkeley, or he had in Boston. So I think there is a great,
It's a good point, yeah.
There's a great power, to these technologies. And I think that is also a reason, almost every conversation, there is a question that, will AI be, bridge the divide, or will it increase divides? And that's where I always make an argument that, hey, we in India, especially the Bharat that is India, have to embrace it. If we fear it, then, of course, we become the have-nots. The have-not here is not necessarily driven by socioeconomic basis or gender. The have or have-nots are who have embraced it and who have not. Yeah, and it's very easy to embrace it because it doesn't need, any training really, or very little. It's just a mindset and a little bit of skills. But once you do that, it is so empowering. Over the last days also, I think just maybe even the morning, somebody was sharing that this person's grandmother is now using ChatGPT voraciously, and even like her puja, all of that, the mantras, she's putting into ChatGPT to get their meaning. So this was like a 70-year-old lady. So I think I think that's the nature of this technology. And see, there are of course deep, very fundamental issues in our society, which are not going to, change overnight. But we should take every positive disruptor that we can. And to my mind, AI is a disruptor. And it has, the negative impact on jobs that as we discussed, but it also is a positive disruptor.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that is what we should focus on.
Right. I don't know what AI, but even just if you just look at the internet and technology, and if you see how it has leveled the playing field for education, I mean, you see any kid, they listen far less, they learn far less in school than they do when they come back home and they are, looking at Physics Wala and all these other YouTube streams, and that's where they learn. I've seen that happen everywhere. So, I mean, so by extension, AI would do the same thing. Okay. So, Nitin, you've spoken a lot in your book about duality. There's an entire diagram on duality, right? So, so in my book, OTP Please, which is about tech platforms, there was a lot of it deals with the dualities of the various actors in this business. So, for example, a customer wants convenience, right? He wants fast speed and convenience, but the worker, that puts pressure on the worker because he has to run to give you stuff. Then the platform wants flexibility, but the worker wants security. Then small businesses, they are getting onto an Amazon, for example, because they want scale, but Amazon has its own, wants to control the things. So there's a lot of contradiction and duality. How do you think in tech platforms, which are, new businesses, which are only going to grow, how to manage this duality so that different actors get a fair deal?
See, there are so many ways, duality plays out in tech platforms or AI in particular. So many different ways, we can go. I think the duality that I think most about for, as far as AI is concerned, is that it's a great enabler. It is so helpful and so powerful that you cannot not use it. But equally, the more you use it, it kind of also diminishes us. It's very helpful. It's very helpful.
Yeah, that's
but
a great
problem solving, even creativity. But
Correct.
as soon as you start using it, it kind of tends to diminish your cognitive skills. And I think that is really the big human challenge that I see.
Yes.
People ask me that, okay, what is dark side of AI and what is it that you worry most about? And there is hallucination and biases and all of that. You see, those will get addressed over a period of time. It's a question of data and kind of model design and things like that I think as engineers we know what to do, and I think over the next 5-10 years they will get addressed. But this is the very nature. This is the very nature of AI, that it enables,
But it also takes away.
but yet it diminishes. And then that is really the core of
The challenge is how to
the
stay
possible
on the
framework.
balance.
See, that's why the possible framework. That's why I'm making an argument that the core human essence or the core human skills, problem solving or openness and blah, 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 creativity, that's where it comes from, have to be specifically nurtured. Because if you don't do that, in another generation or two, or maybe even less, AI will make us into a vegetable.
This is, this book really resonated with me, although I didn't have too much time to read it, but whatever I read really resonated with me. But this is precisely what I'm also saying in my book towards the end, saying technology is a tool and you can't let it overpower you. So in this example that you're giving, maps, for example, Google Maps, nobody remembers roads anymore. Right? You have, because map hai, so unless previously
if I have to go to the market, which is 2 minutes away, I still put on Google.
You still put on the map, right? And therefore there's a diminishing of your cognitive skill, even though it's convenient. Okay. I also really liked that discussion about momentary versus momentous. That was a really good discussion. So the other day in LinkedIn, somebody had put a post saying, why do we all have to do big, grand things? What about the normal people who are doing their honest work, ordinary jobs, honestly doing their thing and living their lives? Should we all aim for to be momentous, or should we just live in the moment and do the right thing and carry on with our lives? And why are we not celebrating the regular, honest, ordinary person anymore? ऐसे बोल के लिखा था. So I thought that was something to think about. What do you think about that? Should we all try and be momentous?
See, I do not see a contradiction really between momentary and momentous. Because, see, if you don't live the moment well, there is no momentous. Momentous is really stringing a series of brilliant moments.
Okay.
So that's really the point I'm trying to make, that, to be in the present moment and to be, like what is in front of you, you have to do that well. But I'm also making the point that, life has a purpose. And each one of us has a unique purpose. Now, to your point, that your purpose, my purpose, they will be different. And, in our traditions, in the Bhagavad Gita and then also the Upanishads, there is a lot of conversation about Swadharma. That all of us have an intrinsic, unique nature. And we have to recognize that and act accordingly. That's no different from the theory of competitive advantage, which Michael Porter and others have done for nations and for enterprises and so on. That's the basis of any corporate strategy. What's the natural advantage? And of course, that is, of course, has to be at a human individual level as well. And I think that's totally fine. Now, I think what is momentous, as a society, I think we are very judgmental. And, we put labels on that. And that's where, I am very hesitant now to use the word success.
Correct.
Though I must also confess that throughout most of my life and career, I've been obsessed around success. So, when I joined McKinsey, we had like this frame, of what is the profile that in McKinsey we hire, and we used to call it the insecure overachiever. Yeah. I think I'm an insecure overachiever. I was always very driven by chasing something and success. But I think I'm now, getting to that realization that what the heck is success? What is, why, how do we really qualify that? And that comes to your point that somebody is doing a job which may seem like ordinary.
But he's doing it well.
He or she is doing it extraordinarily well, is very committed to it, and feels very aligned to it, is very satisfied with it. That's youth success.
Yes.
So I think, look, I don't know how we do it, because again, that's a human tendency that we put labels. And we start to qualify momentous. But I, just coming back to the point, I think both momentary the moment and momentous both are important. The moment is about being in the present moment and doing what is in front of you, doing that extraordinarily well, committing 100% to that.
Is momentous in itself. Or
And when you string that together, that is momentous, and momentous also is a personal vision and a drive that I am going to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
And that myself is very important.
Correct. And momentous may not be actually publicly visible. So a lot of people just, personally in their personal life, suppose they have, a family member who's ill or something like that, and they've really stood up and done what they best that they could in their personal life, which is not visible to everyone, but it's momentous for that life. So, it got me thinking about that. Okay, we've spoken a lot and quite heavy topics. So I would
That's
like
what
to.
I was thinking.
I would like to, but the book is, despite addressing these heavy topics, it's a pretty easy read, and Nitin has made it really easy through that anagram possible. So where each word stands for a mantra that he's advocating. So it is heavy, but it is also very readable. So I would like to open it to the audience to quiz him on whatever strikes you about this topic.
I think each one of them is quite important, and that's where I've chosen them. I think from a difficulty perspective, and I can talk about myself, because each person's frame is different. I find O for openness to be something I have to be very conscious about, because even with a little bit of success, or again this quote-unquote success, you build, there is a lot of hubris that comes in. And you think that, I know it, and this is the way it is. And just being constantly, staying humble and being very open and absorbing in every situation, every moment, I think is something, which I personally, I find that sometimes a struggle, and if I'm speaking, I'm the one speaking, and I think my colleagues know that well. So I think that openness, I think is very important. I think also balance, because I think we tend to swing. We tend to swing one side, then other side, and being conscious of the balance and being able to live the balance. Because living the balance is not about compromising each of the sides. That's not what I'm suggesting. Because it is easy to do that I'll do a little bit of this, little bit of that. That's not what I'm suggesting. How do you do each end of, short-term, long-term strategy execution, man, machine, whatever is that duality, how do you do each aspect of that really well, is also, I think, something quite tough.
Thank you. I'm skeptical about where is the boundary between the human, boundary of privacy between the human and the AI. I think last weekend I jokingly typed, tell me about myself. And it was like, you work here, you do this, your skill sets are this. And I'm skeptical, suppose my friend is using the AI as the same as I am using. And I ask something personal about himself to the AI. Will it answer like that, or how the AI will use that data? I wanted to know your view
I think
on this.
that's a very valid concern. Data privacy is one of the issues I worry a lot about, and I think today, there is some aspect which is unavoidable. Because again, this trifecta, AI, data, and digital. It's all based on co-creation. Yeah, it's an engagement, it's a co-creation. Between that provider and you as a consumer, there is an ongoing flow happening. Yeah. So if you don't share any data, you also don't, one of the key features of AI is personalization. Yeah. So if you don't share data, how do you personalize your services, isn't it? So to an extent, it is avoidable, unavoidable. But at the same time, the the kind of how much should then the company be allowed to use and what not to use, I think is not well laid out. So whenever we use an AI platform or any tech platform, we end up signing something which we have no clue about. We have no clue of that. It's like long, and then you say, okay, jaldi say, I agree. But look at almost any product out there. You drive a car. The car has a very clear eco rating. Yeah, you are not choosing that. You are like, it's given, like it is this 5 or 7 or whatever. It's very clear what that means. Or you buy a food product. The nutrient description is very clear, and I think it's one of the it is absolutely imperative, and not just in my third book, but my second book, Mastering the Data Paradox. I have spoken at length about it, that there is a really urgent need for global data privacy standards. This is a choice which paradoxically has to be taken away from the consumer, because the consumer is not really making a choice. You're fooling the consumer. Yeah? And therefore, there have to be standards.
I think like they are going to use in future AI for selling our products also.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
Hello, sir. My name is Yash Binwani. So,
Sorry, what's your name?
Yash Binwani. So, I just want to ask that you have been very experienced, right? You are an entrepreneur, and then you have also worked in Flipkart and McKinsey. So, I just want to ask, what do you believe that what is your duty towards the society, and how this book fulfills that duty? And my second question is, we are living, like you talked about meditation and everything. Do we really need AI? Because if we talk about an entrepreneur, what he does, he take out the problem from the society and he just resolves that. So what means AI? If AI is there, it should solve a problem, right? So do our society really requires AI?
So two different questions. All of us have a responsibility, okay? And the fifth mantra, impact, that's what I mean. And and what I'm also saying is that impact or duty towards the society is actually a very innate human quality, okay? That as humans, we have this desire to make a difference, a desire to leave a legacy. I certainly have that. That is a big reason I write these books. I don't write these books for any profit. Okay, I think I'm very blessed to have a very good business, and that's more than enough for what I need. I put in a lot of time and energy into my 3 books. They're a real labor of love, and it is because I want to give back. I've written this book because I believe that AI is going to impact humanity in very significant ways, and most of all in our country. Most of all in our country, the challenge and the opportunity both for us in India is very, very significant. Is perhaps more than other countries, because we are a very young pyramid. We are a very services-driven economy. The negative impact for us on jobs is going to be higher. At the same time, this is also a huge opportunity for us. This is an opportunity for us to leapfrog, if we can, which is the tsunami of entrepreneurship that I talk about. So I really see it as that, okay, I have been blessed that I have had a range of experiences in my life, and that has given me a certain worldview, a certain understanding, and I feel very strongly that I have to give it back, and that's why I write these books. That's why I'm here. The book is going to sell on Amazon, mostly. And it is selling very well there. But still, I feel that it is very important to have all of these conversations, because I can do any number of podcasts, but the human conversations from this, there are 40, 50 people. Even if 5 people go back, with something which is sparked in them, I think it will be a huge thing. So see, in our tradition, we have the concept of seva. Seva is very important, and especially in terms of our, we talked about momentous, we talked about spirituality. Seva is a very important aspect of spirituality in our tradition. This is my seva. This is my seva, okay? And coming to your second question, that do we need AI? I think it's a moot point, my friend. It's a moot point. Because AI is there. Nobody can stop AI, okay? AI is not like nuclear power, nuclear fusion or fission, where 5 countries can come together and say that, we will sign a non-proliferation treaty and we're going to stop AI. AI has happened. And AI is like if you understand the nature of AI, it's like a continuously growing, improving and growing kind of system. It has got 3 layers. There is the macro layer, which is where foundational models come in. There is the enterprise layer, and then there is the individual layer. Yeah? All 3 are connected constantly. There is an information flow that is happening across these layers. This genie is out of the lamp, yaar. So whether AI is a good thing or a bad thing is a moot point. I think a lot of the conversation around AI has been driven by philosophers and academicians who, I'm sorry, but haven't done a practical day's job. And they have ended up framing AI in very existential terms. The conversation is either dystopian, it's going to destroy the world, or it is utopian. Yeah? The reality, first is that AI is a reality. The second is that the impact of AI is somewhere between that 0 and 1. It has a lot of positive aspects, it also has a negative aspects. And my main submission, and a reason I've written this book, is accept reality. Accept reality instead of valuing in theory and existential debates. We don't know a lot of things about AI, but at the same time, we know a lot. What we know has this implication we know on jobs. It also has this opportunity in terms of the disruption. And my submission is we should focus on that. That is hard enough. That is hard enough, because the more, we keep on framing the questions we ask ourselves, Yash, are very important. Okay? So again, this quote-unquote success, if you look at the fundamentals of that, a lot of that is going to be driven by the questions you ask yourself. Yeah? That's the kind of answers you get. And my final chapter of the book, the final chapter of the book, the visual is of Arjun, in the field of Kurukshetra. Because, after everything, he knows everything. He is the main protagonist. He stands there, and then again he is confused. That should I act or should I not? Yeah, and that's the classic human thing, because we keep on questioning some fundamentals. But look, at some point we have to say, yes, this is what it is. And based on that, we have to act.
Hi, sir. My question would be from the very beginning topic which we started, entrepreneurship. As one of your main topic of the book is promoting entrepreneurship, more people should be taking upon, because in the future, there might be jobs gone due to AI or multiple various reasons. So, as also one of the topic you discuss is, our education teaches us to get a proper job and then, get promotion and higher status, etc. No one promotes you towards entrepreneurship, because I feel one of the main key factors is security. The security which you get after you find a job, and that secure feeling, that is also why majority of them run to government jobs, okay? But when you get into entrepreneurship, there are multiple insecurities. You have to keep on working on this. You're like one-man army, and plus you might have 2 other people helping for you. But my question is, suppose I'm a recent graduate, okay, and I did not get into any corporate job because I am right now experimenting, seeing what I can do better at, for example, events and etc. But I still have a dilemma that down the line 2 years, I work on my individual project, I work with a team, but it doesn't work out for any reason, XYZ reason. And if I turn towards corporate, will they take me? Like, because unlike my friends, I won't have the, big company tags such as Flipkart, Apple, Amazon. I will be having something I have done. So I still have this dilemma that will that company take me because I don't have that, designated years of experience.
Vandana, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. But just one thing I want to, want at least my own experience. We build our beliefs, assumptions, based on experiences. See, in my experience, entrepreneurship. I started my entrepreneurship journey within the companies I worked in. I've worked in 3 companies, McKinsey, Fidelity, Flipkart. Each one of them, I was an entrepreneur. Each one of them, I was an entrepreneur. In McKinsey, I was there for 4 years. I left. I did a startup. The startup was a great failure. Was not just a failure, it was a great failure. I think I overestimated the market size by 10,000 times. So it was a great failure, but McKinsey was good enough to bring me back. I came back. But then in McKinsey, instead of going back on the standard consulting track, we were setting up a very new business unit, the McKinsey Knowledge Center, which was like the back office of the back office. It wasn't even the back office. And consulting is a very, prestige conscious profession. So going, from being like a fairly, high performing consultant to going to the back office of the back office was quite a risk. Yeah. But I knew that was my venture. Yeah. And I built that, and it was from zero to becoming the largest knowledge center of its type in the world. So that was a great thing. Yeah. Fidelity was a very traditional company, but even in then, my role was, I was the CEO for India, but I also was heading strategy for a global business. So of course it was a tough life, 2 weeks in London, 2 weeks in Gurgaon. But there was no defined job description. It's something I created. And of course, Flipkart was Flipkart. It was everything, every day was a new adventure. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is that while I have worked in large companies, I think every day or whatever I did was as an entrepreneur. And I think that prepared me. I had done a startup very, very early on in my career, 4 years after business school. I failed. I went back to McKinsey and I trained myself to be an entrepreneur. And then when I jumped again 8 years back, I think I was much wiser. Yeah. So I just want to, I have mentioned this earlier also, that, entrepreneurship is very important. But that entrepreneurship, that's an orientation of creation, that you're trying to create something new. And for that, you're taking risks. You can do that within a startup, your own startup, or you join a startup. That could also be in a larger company. Yeah. And I think it is best to do it in a larger company. Because, some of the other risks are not there. Yeah. So train yourself to be an entrepreneur there. Isn't it? Train yourself to be an entrepreneur. And then, you're ready, you launch. But equally, once you are now as an entrepreneur, don't worry too much. That what companies are expecting is changing a lot. It's changing a lot.
Thank you so much.
Sorry to ask the second question by myself. This is Kamal. So since you have touched upon the policies and you are all saying that we need to develop the infrastructure in India. So I want to know, will there be a need to mandate some policies around the use of AI? Like, say, for example, in order to solve a holistic global problems, like, for example, the global warming or things like generic problems. So, because people are using AI for in their silos and in their own way for their own benefits. So, how do we? I mean, is there a need, and how do we enforce to incorporate some policies around it?
I think the need is there. I think enforcement is very tough. So I think this notion of the democratizing ability of AI or AI for social good. I think a lot about it. I begin to also research specifically on this topic. And there are many areas, like healthcare, or education, or agriculture, or climate change, where I think AI could be a tremendous boon. But the economic benefit may not be there in a short, medium term. It may not be there in a defined time frame. It needs a very, very patient capital. And I think I think that's where, in a country like ours, the government has to step in. Because in United States, the private capital also tends to have a very, there are different types of capital, but there is enough capital out there which is very, very long term. China, a lot is driven by kind of central investments. And our country is somewhere in between. So yeah, I think the point you make is a very fair one, that there is a great opportunity with AI to solve some very fundamental societal problems, but capital or initiative may not go there naturally. So I think the government has to encourage that.
Thank you.
Vandana, something you want to add?
For example, AI is now helping farmers to cut their losses. It's telling them exactly when you should sow, what the weather will be like next month, when you should harvest, data that they didn't have before. So that's an example of how AI is helping. There's also precision surgery that there are some surgeries that doctors no longer do. Okay, like AI does these kind of, I think, kidney stones, certain eyes, robotic surgeries, all of that AI has virtually taken over. So, that's the good side. But typically, in what I have found with respect to what I have written also, is that governments are slow to catch up. Tech is going ahead leaps and bounds, and governments are very slow to catch up on the negative side. All these positive things which are happening, of course, because of private initiative. But but the negatives which are happening, which needs government to step in and put some, safeguards, that is taking a lot of time. Mostly they are too lost and they don't know that what all tech can do. And this is not just India. This is happening all across everywhere. And that, of course, there are many examples of that, but that needs governments to be more clued in on how the tech is evolving.
Yeah, hi, I'm Pravalika. So even I have tried entrepreneurship in the beginning of my career, and in India especially, where there's a copy of everything. We do some work and there will be some duplicate of this. So how do we, protect that? Because I failed to protect somebody's integrity. So that's where my startup failed. So I did FI graduate program as well. So I had a personal question, like in India this happens a lot, some duplicate copy will come in the market. So that's how. And I had another question, like what are the key decisions in your life that took you to become a CEO of the company? Like you could have taken any other decision, and in this parallel world we'll go, we may not be reaching that stage. So what are the key decisions?
Yeah, two different questions. I think first, for a flourishing innovation ecosystem, intellectual property protection is extremely important, and I think it's relatively weak here in India. So I think it's something where more needs to happen. We spoke about data privacy, but copyright protection and patent patent process and all of that does need to be strengthened. But at the same time, I would also offer that in the AI age, it is becoming more and more difficult to be unique or protect that uniqueness because it's very easy to get going. So it depends, where you are in like a business stack. If your innovation is very technology, R&D, science-driven, there is a chance, good chance of you being able to protect it and then monetize it. But if your innovation is, or what you're doing, if your idea is more business-driven, more application-driven, and I also made the point that the biggest opportunity is in the application layer, at least in India, then that application layer is not very easy to protect. So that's where the duality also comes in, Vandana, that something is easy to do, but not that easy to protect. And therefore, the speed at which you move and scale up becomes very important. So it's kind of a, it's not an easy answer. Yeah, if your innovation is very R&D driven, you have a good chance. But I would think that 90% of the business ideas would be more application driven, where I think you have to recognize that it's not very easy to protect. Even if you look at the law today, and with AI, there is a lot of interpretation or reinterpretation of copyright and kind of intellectual property laws that is happening. A lot of them are okay with what's called fair use. Okay, fair use. So right now the courts are taking a view that if LLM is, I think the point somebody also made that I've fed my information and blah, 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 that they're saying if the information is not fully reproduced, it is not as is that but you're taking an essence of it, that's a fair use. It's like reading a book. Yeah. So I think we have to recognize that we are in a world where the rule, what is intellectual property, is getting redrawn. I'm sure Vandana faces this issue that as an author, and I talk to my publisher Penguin all the time, that even as a publisher, what is, look, their business is entirely intellectual property driven, but what property you can protect today is a question. Yeah, is a question. So that's the first part. I think your second was then a very different question, that decisions that have shaped my career. I think, I don't know decisions, but I think failures have shaped my career. That I have generally taken fair number of, while it may not appear like that, if you look at my career trajectory, but I've taken a fair number of risky decisions, and I've had a fair number of failures, for which I get a lot of feedback from my wife. But I think all of those failures have really shaped my career. That there is like this movement, where you feel really, disappointed, or you go through a bout of self-questioning. But after every failure, I've seen the curve go upwards. So it's not that I'm chasing my next failure, but I think the risks I've taken, and all risk, in the short term, there have been many failures, but generally, I think that has been a differentiator.
And there's a lot of questions about career risk and is this the right thing to do and whatever. So let me tell you a little bit about my career journey. So I'm from IIM Ahmedabad. I had a proper corporate career. Okay, ICICI Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, HT Media. So somewhere when I was in HT Media, I mean, long before that, I used to write for Times of India, Indian Express, and all, contribute kind of thing. Then when I was in HT Media, we lived in a place called Greater Noida, which was just coming up at that time. So I'm in Delhi, so I moved there. And then I wrote a book called Urban Villager, which is about the growth of Greater Noida. And that got me interested in the development sector. And then I did a PhD in development, and I completely moved out of the corporate sector, and I'm a development sector professional. Of course, financially, it's not the same at all. I was working for top companies then, and it's a completely different, divergent path. And when I did my master's and PhD in France, we happened to move there as a family, so I was there. I had 20-year-olds with me in the class. Okay, half my age at that time, like a Brazilian girl, some girl from Spain, some other boy from Latvia, all these people. So imagine you have to appear cool in the class and get through the notes, get through all that. So I did all that, and just when my kids were going to school, I used to go to university. So all of that happened. Then I got my PhD, and then I moved to a completely different sector. Financial hit, but a lot of satisfaction. I've written 3 books after that. So,
I'll have one question. So, sir, recently we saw a study which said that more than 85% of the Gen AI POCs are failing at the enterprise level. So, how long do you see this shift happening in time frame that, we move from the bubble of implementation of AI to the organic use cases where AI enablement is like, going to take us much further rather than just, rushing for the implementation?
I see nothing wrong in 85% use cases failing. Why is that? Why is that worrisome?
From what I think, we are rushing into AI implementation, and that is why it is happening. So that was one, hypothesis that I read about.
Look, that's the nature of innovation. It is always a little messy, and it never happens in a very sequential, kind of structured fashion. So it's a little bit of not little bit. It's like a huge gold rush. Everybody is trying to rush in. There is a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of energy. And I think we are still learning about the technology. One of the fundamental issues is when you say a Gen AI use case. Because to me, there is nothing called a Gen AI use case. Okay? Because, and you know it very well, that Gen AI is just one layer. It's just one layer. And that is the macro data. Those are the foundational models. The Gen AI models can give you an answer which is maybe 40 to 60%, 65%. Very, very, very few cases, maybe they go up to 75, 80%. Now from there, to go to a level which really becomes implementable, it needs to be trained, it needs to be contextualized. It needs to be contextualized with enterprise data. And that's a hard job. That's a hard job. I think you would also understand that extremely well, because the data in an organization is very complex. It's very difficult to get it together. So it's not something, if you can set up a AI POC in like weeks, yeah, but for it to then move it from 60 to 80% can be many months or like it can be 18, 24 months. Because that now then you are talking about something, which is very complicated, yeah, because in most organizations, especially large organizations, the data is in silos, it's in many different places. Even when you say that we have an integrated data platform, not really. So I see nothing wrong in that. It is happening, but I think by now we know enough that the direction of travel is extraordinarily strong. That even of the last 12 months, I think the experiments with agentic AI, there is a lot of reality to it. that, we are seeing, at least in my own company, we are seeing that, we are realizing a 40% productivity across the software development life cycle. That's just 7-8 months of effort. It's not years of effort, okay? And so that's a big number. And I think that number is happening on various type of customer service processes. So, I'm actually surprised with how quickly we are seeing impact. Because, in an earlier era, perhaps you have not seen that era, but I have seen different eras of technology that, with .com, and then we went to the digital wave. In digital wave, the pilots and everything took much longer, and it took, lot more time and effort to see any kind of impact. I think we are seeing impact very quickly right now.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm Navya, and firstly, congratulations on your current book. So, if generally addressed, what would you like to be addressed as in general? Like, is it the national best-selling author or an established entrepreneur?
What is the need for any label?
Yeah, it could be like 60-40 or 70-30.
No, I think I'm not fond of labels. I think, if generally, if one has the love and respect of people, I think that is enough. So labels are okay, labels don't mean that much, But I think to be first and foremost, I think for me it is very important. The most important thing for me is that is to be valued and to that I am loved by my family, that I deserve that love. Okay, I think that's the most important thing for me. All of these things are very secondary, but I think that's the core of it. And then it is, my colleagues and my friends, that they see me as a trustworthy colleague and a trustworthy and a reliable friend. I think that's the most important thing. I think it gets back to the momentary versus momentous thing. Because if those things are, foundations are there, a lot of other things happen. But if you have that supposedly momentous, but the foundation is there, it doesn't hold. So for me, those things are a lot more important.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that.
You want to take one? All right, this is the last question, and we'll allegedly take it
Pressure
off
mat
the
dalo
shelf.
yaar itna uske upar usko.
Hi, Nitin. So my question revolves around the last mantra. It's about entrepreneurship. So my idea about entrepreneurship is picking up a problem in society, finding a solution around it, mostly automating it so that people don't waste time and effort. But then don't you think the more we go towards an entrepreneurship mindset where we automate things, we remove more people out of the loop? For example, when we automate something, when we automate a problem, we are potentially removing people who are working in that sector. And those n number of people who are removed from that sector are then going for an entrepreneurship wala mindset, where they are automating their ideas and then they are removing more n number of people from the chain.
So it's like a chain, like
a chain reaction.
Massive Ponzi scheme,
Yes, and given the population that is rising this way, where do you see it going?
The first part of what you said, that as an entrepreneur, I'm looking for problems in society to solve. I love that. I think that's such an amazing framing. But why does it need to be only automation?
I mean, mostly right now what we are seeing is the trend is around automating things.
I think it is. See, automation is absolutely one of the very visible and powerful applications of AI, but that's not the only application. Okay, and my submission is that, see, you're right, conceptually you're right, and I also worry a lot about that, because and right now this is what is happening, that when we say AI use cases, when our friend here spoke about it, 80 to 90% of use cases are only automation driven. Yeah, and that I think is even true for large enterprises. So. And if AI ends up being only automation, then I think it is very bad news. Okay? Because then it will keep on shrinking the entire value chain. Yeah. That right now I may feel happy that as an entrepreneur I have that automation use case. Yeah. So as my company, we do a lot of that for our clients. Okay. But eventually that will reduce the work. And that will further, it will have a lot of, it's a chain effect. I think that's where you were going. So, but equally and even more powerful feature of AI is personalization. Okay? Like so far, and it's a very big thing, we should look at the positive, glass half full, not the glass half empty. See, so far the logic since the industrial age has been that scale has meant standardization. But with digital data and AI, we can personalize. Like, when you go for Amazon, you have a personalized experience, isn't it? Netflix, you have a personalized experience. Now, that is the power of AI. You can personalize at scale, and that personalization can happen in any sector. Like you are saying, automation can happen in any situation. Personalization can happen in any situation. And, and that is, in education, think about it. It's really the model of education hasn't changed much for the past couple of 100 years. A classroom-based model, you can completely disrupt it. Our traditional model was a Gurukul-based, which was like 15 kids, and where the guru would have a very personalized view to each and then craft a personalized program. Now with AI, now that is possible. Healthcare, the entire field of pharmaceuticals, today, like the pharmaceutical companies I serve, their number one objective is personalized medicine. Number one. And the number two thing is that they're trying to go direct to patients. The pharmaceutical industry, you will be surprised or maybe not surprised to know that the customer is not seen as the patient. The customer is seen as the doctor, which is an intermediary. Okay? So I'm just giving you a few examples, but in every industry, I think there is that possibility. There is another vector which is innovation. Okay? That what is the innovation I can drive through AI? So again, staying with the pharmaceutical industry example, like drug development is so prohibitively expensive, it's like more than $1 billion for each drug. And then it is, you're not assured that you will have success. Now with the use of AI, use of synthetic data, you can short circuit that R&D process massively and reduce the cost. I think there is hope now with the level of data that is available, the level of compute capability that is available, that maybe in our lifetime, or the next 10 years maybe, we will find a cure to cancer. Why don't we focus on that? Yeah. And so I agree with you that there is the automation use cases are very obvious. And right now there is a over anchoring on that. And yes, if AI is only about automation, then it is bad news. But it is not, my friend. It is not. It is not. There are multiple dimensions to AI. Those other dimensions probably require more work. But the work on those is what is going to lead to an expansion. They will lead to new products, new opportunities. And I think there is a dire need both for corporates and for entrepreneurs to focus more on that. Does it answer your question?
Kind of.
अरे उसमें मत घुस जाओ कि AI equal to automation. ठीक है? ऐसा नहीं है. ऐसा नहीं है.
All right. On that note, we will end the conversation here, but we'll keep the conversation going offline. A big thank you to Nitin for being here. And a much larger welcome. Thank you to Vandana for hosting this session and making it extremely engaging.
She did that at very short notice.
Yes.
So I think it was just a couple of days. But I think you've done a fantastic job. So thank you so much, Vandana. Big round of applause for her.
Thank you, Vandana. And to all of you here, thank you for being such an engaging audience. And we have high tea arranged at True Black. Please join us there. Let us network and get your copy signed from Nitin. And we'll keep the evening going. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Can we have pictures?
Yes.
Maybe another book? Rajat, another copy of the book?